Hello, 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 my amigos. Welcome one, welcome all. It is time for liftoff.
T-minus 10,
10,
9,
9,
8,
8,
7,
7,
6,
6, 5,
5,
4,
4,
3,
3,
2.
2,
You know the
1,
rest.
0. Ignition.
Come on,
Liftoff.
let's get
Liftoff.
going.
30 minutes after the hour.
Yeah. Get ready. Hold on to your hats. Strap on your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelts. Hold on to your hats. And get ready for the ride of your life. The show with no name time. On Vaughn Radio. It's the show with no name. Let's go. Hello, 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 my amigos. Welcome one, welcome all. That's right. This is the show with no name. And that applause is for you. That's for all the show with no namers that join us week after week, day after day, month after month, year after year. Those of you who laugh and learn along with my colleagues and me. You've got amazing programs here all day long, and I couldn't think of a better way to start your day than with my buddy, Rob Grams. The Probo Show. Give it a listen if you haven't. It's real English. Rob always gives a hot take. A hot take is another way of saying an unpopular opinion. And you guys can participate on that show. It's called The Probo Show, and it's here exclusively on Vaughn Radio. You've also got Fitz to help fill your mornings. His program's called No Excuses, and it's a master class with the guy who trained me and many other people. I mean, He-Man Holiday. I mean, Kyle Miller. I mean, most of the people you hear on Vaughn Radio or you have had as a Vaughn teacher have come through the Fitz filter. And you can spend an hour with him every day on No Excuses. Download the free Vaughn Radio app, and you can learn English with us wherever. You can learn English from the subway, from your car, while you're waiting at the doctor's office for a checkup, una revisión. There's no wrong place to have your English class. And that's one of the wonderful things about podcasts. I know personally, sometimes I'll take out the garbage and do a few errands and, learn a little bit about the French Revolution, for example. So you can always learn something. There's never a bad time. Well, I guess there is a bad time. You don't want to be listening to a podcast at a funeral or at somebody's wedding, but you catch my drift. Those moments where you're like, oh, I've got 10 minutes to kill, or I'm going to do this 15, 20-minute activity. One of my favorite times to listen to podcasts is when I'm working out. I know many of you are in that category as well. While you're working out, you're also working on your English or learning about whatever your hobbies may be. And that's the wonderful thing. You can listen at any time, and you can listen to podcasts about basically every topic under the sun. So you've got amazing ones here at Vaughn Radio. Again, if you have the Vaughn Radio app, you can get them through there. Or you can go directly to your favorite podcast platform, and that is Apple Podcasts, iVoox, Spotify, and so on and so forth. And again, if you haven't given us a review, you can give us a 5-star review and leave a comment. And I thank you. I thank you for taking the time to do that. If you're going to, or as many of you I already know, many of you have already done that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All of those things help our shows get seen and heard by more people. So thank you for doing your part, not only in class as students, but for being our spokespeople, nuestras portavoces. You know, when they see you guys and they say, wait, you're not afraid of English? Wait, you English is no big deal for you? You're not, stuttering, tartamudeando, because you have to say good morning? What happened? Well, I listen to Von Radio. I'm exposed to English on a daily basis. I'm learning the ins and outs of the language, los pormenores, the bare bones, the totally native expressions. And as I said, you're learning about many other things as well, because as you know, here on the show, we'll learn about the French Revolution. We'll learn about, Zeppelin, the first Zeppelin, or Led Zeppelin. You never know what's going to come up, but we're going to learn through different topics. So aside from learning English, we'll learn about different topics. We'll learn common mistakes. And remember, another very important part of the show for you guys is to participate along with us. Now, you can do it in the group if you'd like to, but more importantly, you should do it aloud. So if you participate in the group and you're not saying what you put aloud, then you're doing it wrong, right? Because the most important part, I think, here, at least on this show and in any English class, I think is repeating what the teacher said, practicing, using it, vocalizing. So don't forget to do that when you hear something new, when you hear something that seems a bit confusing or odd, un poco raro. And that's the perfect opportunity for you to try and say what you're hearing aloud. Something we do as well when we listen to the audios in our pop quiz section. What you're doing there is you're listening to the audio. But if it weren't the pop quiz, well, I expect you to be listening to that audio and saying the different translations, hopefully before the person who says them in the audio. And you can do that by hearing the Spanish one. So, for example, te arrepentirás, pausa, you'll regret it. No me malinterpretes, pausa, don't get me wrong. Me está pasando factura, pausa, it's taking its toll on me, right? So again, you can do it two ways here. You can listen to it and then repeat it, or you can pause it and see if you know it beforehand. And then when you listen to it, you got to make sure that what you said sounded something like what was said in the audio. So folks, that is our pop quiz, but it's not time for the pop quiz right now. No, we're going to kick things off with our Say What soundbite. Come on.
Say what? What?
Yes. All right, folks. It's your Say What soundbite here on the show with no name. And let's see what we've got for you today. Let's see. Do I think you guys are going to have difficulty with this one? Nah. I think this one should be relatively easy. Knowing you guys, knowing your level, knowing your comprehension level. Because if you guys listen to Vaughn Radio every day, well, your listening, as you call it, your comprehension is probably in the top 10. You know, the top 10 percentile of all of Spain. I mean that. You're exposing your ear to English all day long. Not everybody can say that they're doing that. So you're definitely leaps and bounds above the rest. Leaps and bounds. Saltos grandes por encima, right? All right, well, folks, we all have to do business from time to time. Yeah, we don't say make business. We do business. We make money, hopefully, when we do business. But I've heard that mistake many times. I've heard many people say, we made business with them. No, we do business. And what about we mean business? Vamos en serio. We mean business. And what about mind your business? Tú a lo tuyo. Yeah, so there are many times where business is not negocios. También puede ser asuntos. De hecho, de ahí viene la expresión the bee's knees. Porque cuando yo era más joven, decíamos, oh man, that radio show is the business. Pero eso ya se convirtió the bee's knees. So it's interesting to see how words and sounds evolve, how language, especially the English language, is constantly growing and evolving. And that, to me, makes it fascinating because it's not even the same language it was when I was in high school. You know, it's evolved, it's changed so much. Some things have stayed the same naturally, but so many new words, so many new ways of expressing ourselves have come about. And I think that's a lot of that is probably because of the internet, you know, because of the fact that the whole world is connected now. And, you know, it's brought this new vocabulary, or even some would say, you know, old words that were repurposed, you know, words such as post. To post en inglés británico era mandar por correo. Ahora es ponerlo en el muro. Antes ponerlo en el muro era pues algo de ladrillos, right? So now el muro is... So all of these words have kind of changed their meaning. Tweet, que ya no es tweet, no? I don't know. I can't keep up. But tweet is something a bird used to do. And now it's something we used to do, well, pre-Elon Musk. Although I think almost everybody I know still calls it Twitter. I mean, I still call it Twitter. I don't tweet very often. But all right, my amigos, well, what you have to do in this part of the show, as you know, is listen carefully because, well, you're going to hear this a total of 4 times. So you'll have 4 chances to jot down everything you hear. Initially, I just want you to give me your take, tu opinión sobre lo que oyes. Okay, here we go. Here's your Say What soundbite for the first time.
On the plane, Ozzy is so drunk. He's so drunk. So we're in the back there, and he's at the laboratory mid plane, and it's someone else is in there, and he's like, share, and she like, oh, Ozzy, and he pees his pants right there in the aisle. I'm like, holy crap.
Me pregunta el del chiringuito si quiero hacer kitesurf o wakeboard, o si prefiero tomarme un bitter cas antes. Me acaba de decir 5 palabras en inglés. Kite, que significa cometa. Surf, que es obviamente hacer surf, pero también significa oleaje. Wake, que es estela, en este caso la estela del barco. Board es tabla y bitter es amargo. Y justo antes, cuando le pregunté si hablaba inglés, me dijo, ¡pero patatero! Sabemos mucho más inglés de lo que creemos. Solo nos falta asimilarlo y situarlo. Aprende a aprender inglés en cualquier lugar con This Book is the Milk y su secuela, This Book is the Milk 2. Te enseñaremos cómo enfocar el inglés, aprovechando todo el inglés que tenemos alrededor y de una manera divertida y adictiva. The Remilk ahora se llama This Book is the Milk 2. y viene con audio y nueva portada. Descúbrelos ya en vaughantienda.com.
That's right, folks. Tons of amazing materials in vaughantienda.com. All right, well, folks, it is time to move on to our pop quiz. Pop quiz, 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 quiz. Pop quiz. Yeah. Let's go, 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 go. Let's go, 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 go. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. That's right, amigos. Now, you were probably wondering why I was talking about business so much before. Well, first, I love business. I love doing business. I love the idea of business. I love the idiomatic expression, the business, the bee's knees, but also because I was foreshadowing. Something I love to do here on the show is give you a little inkling of what you're going to see later on in the show. This way, I'm kind of, marking the path to where we're going to eventually go on the show. So, you guessed it, we're going to take a look at business English. That's right. This is a book written by my good friend Kyle Miller. You know him as the host of Drive Time. You can catch him every day on Vaughn Radio. Our Canadian buddy, Kyle Miller. Again, his book is called Business English. It's available for $19.95. That is awesome. $19.95, and it's got everything you need to know to do business in English. It's broken down into 3 parts: getting the job, right? Securing, getting the job, doing business once you've got the job, and then advanced English topics, like giving presentations, negotiation skills, and all the stuff that I think anybody needs to know, because I always say this when we look at this material, everything is kind of business, a business transaction of sorts. You're always selling yourself, even if you're not taking money for it, but you're always selling the idea of yourself to your colleagues, to your friends. So we need to know how to sell ourselves really well as products if we work as a sales rep. A sales rep is how we say comercial, a sales representative. You can say a salesperson, but I think sales rep sounds better. Well, either way, let's listen to this little excerpt from Kyle's book, Business English. And you know me, I mean business. So I will have some challenges for you afterwards.
Marketing Translation List 4.
Los resultados avalan lo que yo sospechaba.
The findings reinforce what I suspected.
¿De qué se preocupa la gente rica?
What do rich people worry about?
¿Qué piensa el primer 1% de la gente?
What do the top 1% of the people think?
Los ingresos medios por familia aquí son altos.
Average household incomes here are high.
La edad media de jubilación es de 64 años.
The average retirement age is 64.
En este segmento el patrimonio familiar supera los 3 millones de euros.
In this segment, the family estate exceeds 3 million euros.
Mucha gente está recortando gastos.
A lot of people are cutting back on expenses.
¿Cuáles son las conclusiones de la encuesta?
What are the conclusions of the survey?
Los ricos gastan en sí mismos.
Wealthy people spend on themselves.
¿Qué hacen los ricos con su tiempo y su dinero?
What do wealthy people do with their time and money?
Mucha gente busca el logro individual.
A lot of people search for individual accomplishments.
Mucha gente también busca más tiempo de ocio.
A lot of people also seek out more leisure time.
Pocos quieren una vida más emocionante y rápida.
Few people want a more emotional and fast-paced life.
¿Qué estás intentando decirnos?
What are you trying to tell us?
Estoy señalando un hecho importante.
I'm pointing out an important fact.
Lo que funcionaba ayer ya no funciona hoy.
What worked yesterday no longer works today.
Lo que antes funcionaba ya no funciona.
What used to work doesn't work anymore.
Esa ropa ya no está de moda.
Those clothes aren't in fashion anymore.
Abundan las reglas no escritas en la publicidad.
Unwritten rules abound in advertising.
Nuestro anuncio televisivo ganó el premio Pearson.
Our TV commercial won the Pearson Award.
Quiero hablar en nombre de mi empresa.
I want to speak on behalf of my company.
¿Estáis dispuestos a seguir adelante con esto?
Are you willing to move ahead with this?
Soy el portavoz de mi empresa.
I'm the spokesperson for my company.
Tienes que hacer las cosas con pasión.
You have to do things with passion.
Les da igual qué clase de reloj lleves.
They don't care what kind of watch you wear.
All right, there you go, folks. A little excerpt from Kyle's Bible, the Business Bible. It's called Business English, as I said, and you can pick it up at vaughntienda.com. In fact, I'll share the link with you right here in the chat room to make it easy, because I know all of you listening and watching right now mean business. ¿Qué vais en serio? Yeah, well, you wouldn't be listening, right? You'd be doing something else with your time, but you're not. You're doing something productive. You mean business. Well, this is a book that will help you with every aspect of business. And business is involved in everything. No matter what industry you're in, as I said, there's an element of it that is a business transaction. I've even seen it with family members, sadly. Sadly. All right, so let's take a look over here. Let's see if you guys were able to extract some of that juicy vocabulary. Now, the first one I want you to use in context is the word ingresos. Everybody can use that one, porque todos o tenemos, o no tenemos, o necesitamos más, okay? Ingresos is the first word. I want you to use it in context, preferably use it in your own context, how you would naturally use it. This way, you're practicing. The next one, I want you to use, well, you can use either one, jubilarse or jubilación, okay?
Jubilarse, jubilación. Show me that you know how to use that one too. And you can talk about a future, or maybe, who knows, some of you might be jubilados. All right, so that is number 2. You can use either one, and we'll take a look at that concept in English. And the third one is sondeo, encuesta, but it's also the verb encuestar. So there you go, folks. I want you to use all 3 of those in context. If you're familiar with them, great. If not, you will be before the end of the section. Ingresos, jubilación o jubilarse es número 2. And número 3, sondeo, sondear. All right, folks, we'll be right back with much more. So stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. This is part 2 of today's show with No Name. Hope you guys are as excited as I am. We're going to look at a lot of things in today's show. We're going to kick this part of the show off with our Say What soundbite. I'll give it to you for the second time. Then we've got our pop quiz answers, which I think today was relatively easy. I don't think these were difficult expressions or anything. Some straightforward vocabulary, ¿no? Sin rodeos, vocabulario. Creo que sea bastante fácil. We've also got our news report. We've got our new section 2, Real Reviews. And here's where we read bad reviews and talk about the vocabulary. And last week we looked at a gas station. We've looked at airports. Well, today we are going to a theme park. That's right. In fact, a theme park that I grew up at. Como se llama? My home park when I was a kid. So we're going to learn some really good vocabulary there as well. Plus, we've got Name That Lyric, Name That Movie, Famous Birthdays. So many different sections to get you learning and laughing and participating. And remember, you can participate in a lot of our shows as well. Almost all of us have social media, so you can reach out if you want to give some feedback. And remember, right after this show, stay tuned, because you've got Gretchen, and I'm sure she's going to teach you some fascinating stuff. All right, let's take a look at our Say What soundbite. I'm going to give it to you now for the second time. As I said, I don't think it's too difficult, but we shall see. Here it is, your Say What soundbite for the second time.
On the plane, Ozzy is so drunk. He's so drunk. So we're in the back there, and he's at the lavatory mid plane, and it's someone else is in there, and he's like, share, and she goes, oh, Ozzy, and he pees his pants right there in the aisle. Like, holy crap.
Hey, Damian, what's crack-a-lackin', buddy?
Hey, Alberto, I was planning to do some sports this week. What about playing baseball?
Ooh, baseball. I love it. But I'm not sure yet. Can we touch base next week?
Touch base. Estamos en contacto, ¿no? Hablamos en algún momento. Yeah, okay. Let's touch base. Okay, what about basketball? Do you want to play basketball?
Oh, man, I love basketball. It's one of my favorite sports. But I don't know if I can this weekend Because I've already got plans. Oh, man, that's the way the ball bounces.
That's the way the ball bounces. Así están las cosas, ¿no? Así bota la pelota. Así bota la pelota. That's the way the ball bounces. I love that expression. Okay, what about tennis? Do you want to play tennis?
Well, I love tennis, but I'm not really a good player. If you don't mind playing with a novice, the ball's in your court, buddy.
La bola está en mi campo, ¿eh? La pelota está en mi tejado. All right. Do you want to play some soccer?
Sure, I'd love to play some soccer or football, as you call it. What time do we kick off?
Perfect. We're kicking off at 9. Are you available?
Sure, but I might have to play some golf before with some friends. It's par for the course.
It's par for the course. Es lo normal, ¿no? Es lo normalito, lo que se hace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about billiards? Do you like playing billiards?
Yeah, but right now I'm behind the 8 ball.
I'm behind the 8 ball. Estás detrás de la bola 8, como que llevas las de perder.
Yeah, wow, a lot of idiomatic expressions here.
Muy buenas expresiones. Si es que así da gusto aprender inglés con un profe como Alberto y un poquito de creatividad, tienes This Book is the Shit. El mejor libro para aprender inglés que te has echado a la cara in your life. Píllatelo, vas a disfrutar mogollón de dibujos para que lo aprendas todo fácil, con conexiones lógicas y divertidas. Es la manera más sencilla y más divertida de aprender inglés. No te la pierdas.
Damián, you're such a good sport. Te enrollas. You can pick up your copy of This Book is the Shit at
Vaughantienda.com.
It's the shit. That's right, folks. This book is the shit. It is available at Vaughan Tienda along with many other amazing materials such as business English, which we're taking a look at today in our pop quiz, which I see we've got a lot of students here joining us. Hello to everybody, and thank you once again for learning and laughing with me here with my antics, mis payasadas. Oh, yeah, you can't take the antics out of it. All right, let's see what we've got over here. We've got Born to Iron Man checking in, and he says, morning, folks. What's up, Born to Iron Man? Great to have you with us, as always. There's Chris Valrol as well. She says, morning, fantastic show with no-namers. As usual, our teacher brings us interesting expressions, music, don't get me wrong, and I'm looking kind of dazzled. Don't get me wrong, if I'm looking kind of dazzled, I see neon lights whenever I hear the show. Great word, dazzled. I love that. Deslumbra. Wow, I'm dazzled. Well, that's the idea here. In fact, I remember that was one of the first words I ever heard Richard Vaughan say. He said a Vaughan teacher dazzles their students. Think about that. Deslumbra. Wow, pow, right? You leave them with their jaw hanging wide open. So to dazzle, great word there, Chris. Let's see, German, morning pals, what's up? He says, let's put some fizz into this biz and some honey into these bees' knees. I love it. You should be a rapper, German. You should definitely be a rapper. I like it. Chris Valrol talking about today's Say What soundbite. Let's see what she heard. She says, I heard a man, not sure about the accent. He explains an anecdote that took place on a plane with Ozzy, who was plastered, and Sharon, his wife. Well, firstly, totally native for knowing the word plastered. Plastered means drunk, right? To be very drunk. He was wasted. He was plastered. He was hammered. He was 3 sheets to the wind. Esa la vimos un par de veces, yeah, to be 3 sheets to the wind. Borrachísimo. Well, Chris, spot on. Absolutely. Somebody sharing an Ozzy Osbourne anecdote. And the person is from the United States. Okay, I can tell you that. The person is from the US of A. Great job, German.
German's participating in today's pop quiz, and he says, after polling some retirees, I found out their income is never enough. Wow. German, very creative. I love how you put all three words from our pop quiz into one little sentence, into one little story. Awesome. Awesome. So to poll, well, a poll es un sondeo, or to poll sería el verbo, sondear. So excellent job. After polling some retirees, so somebody who has retired or somebody who is enjoying their retirement, right? The adjective is he's retired. El sustantivo retirement. Y el verbo to retire. And the person, a retiree. ¿Ves? No nos quedamos solo con la raíz, pero jugamos un poco y vemos que hay más sustancia detrás. So excellent. And I found out their income, que es interesante porque en español decís ingresos. But normally when we use that word in English, there's no S. It's income. What is your monthly income? And it's funny because ¿qué son los gastos entonces? Your outcome? No. Your outcome is el desenlace, right? What happens at the end. But those are your expenses. Tus gastos are your expenses. All right, great, German. I love your little story, and I think it's true, too. Talking about Social Security and people paying in and taking out. Well, I don't want to think about it too much. Chris Valrol says their income was substantial last month. Excellent. Number 2, my parents are retired. Awesome. And the last one, the children were surveyed. That is, they took a poll, a survey. Excellent job, Chris Valrol and German. Wonderful, wonderful stuff, guys. All right, so to poll, to survey, we already said to be retired, to retire, retirement, and retiree. All right. Now, also remember, we have something called early retirement. I think you say jubilación anticipada or something, or antes de tiempo. Early retirement as well. All right. Let's see. We've got Born to Iron Man taking a stab at it, too. He said, wait, I've got something to say as well. And he says, when I retire, I expect to have enough income that allows me, te falta la S, that allows me to live on Easy Street. The poll, okay, so let me give you a totally native. To live on Easy Street, tal como suena, vives en la calle fácil, lo tienes hecho, right? We also say another way to say it is to have it made in the shade, tenerlo todo hecho y a la sombra. Man, he has it made in the shade. That's a great expression and it rhymes. Excellent job there. To live on Easy Street. Then he says, the poll reveals that the corporation which paid for it wants to show us. Oh, okay. The poll reveals, okay, ahí te veo. The poll reveals what the corporation which paid for it wants to show us. Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. Yeah, anytime they're like, studies say 20% of the, I'm like, who paid for the study? Yeah, that's what I want to know. There's even a book. I don't remember the actual title. Let me paraphrase. It's something to the effect of how to lie with numbers, with figures, how to manipulate. Yeah. So you could, take any numbers and show the ones you want and not show the one, we all know 4 out of 5 dentists agree. Okay. But I'm sure there's more to the story. 4 out of 5 dentists that we paid agreed that we're the best, right? So Born to Iron Man, good point. You got to be careful with those polls, with those surveys. So yeah, excellent job, guys. The first word, ingresos, nadie ha puesto incomes. So that's great. Now, if you want to say, no, porque hasta eso, we're a dual income home, ¿no? Tenemos doble ingreso. No hay dos personas ingresando, okay? So, ingresos, income sin ese, you guys knew that. Wonderful job. We already looked at jubilación, jubilarse, and then the other one is to survey somebody, to poll somebody. Y en ambos casos también es el sustantivo, a survey or a poll. So, excellent job, amigos. You knocked it out of the park once again. All right, well, it is time for today's news report.
This is the news report on the show with no name, bringing you the latest breaking news. I'm Alberto Alonso, reporting live.
That's right, amigos. All right, let's take a look at this. I call this one screening screen time. What? Well, screen time is the amount of time you're on your phone per day, right? And to screen, well, it's like when you go through security, right? They screen you. So, let's see. Proteger. What's the way we would say it? It's a security screening, they call it, right? Cernar. Okay. Cribar. Barrera, pantalla. We've got the silver screen. Wow. I'm seeing this is a very, very rich word. Biombo. Mosquitera. All right. Well, to screen is like to check. They're screening, the security screening. They x-ray you and they check for liquids. So that's why I call this screening the screen time. Well, this story takes us over to Japan. Not Japan, Japan. It takes us over to Japan. A Japanese city is considering a proposed ordinance. Okay, so it wouldn't be a law so much as an ordinance that would limit its residents to 2 hours of screen time outside of work or school. Now, that's the key there. 2 hours in your free time, right? School doesn't count, work doesn't count. So they're saying you can use it 2 hours outside of that time. Now, this mayor, the mayor's name is Masafumi Koki, and he's the mayor of Toyoaki. And, well, basically they're saying that they have a serious problem with people, not just kids, because a lot of times we talk about kids and how long they spend on their smartphones and tablets and computers. But I think adults too. Some family members of mine, I won't mention any names, but I have family members where I'm like, oh my God, this person is addicted, like a zombie. So it's pretty crazy, you know? It's definitely become quite an epidemic. Well, Masafumi Koki wants to do something about it. And basically, they're saying that you'll have 2 hours of screen time. And the good news, if you break this ordinance, since it isn't a law, well, there won't be any monetary or criminal penalties imposed. But it's almost to raise awareness, to say you shouldn't be on it for more than 2 hours. You know, if you're not working or researching or, you know, doing some exercises at school. So what they're saying is they don't want to criminalize it. They don't want to put people in prison, especially because usually people who are addicted to their screens usually have a problem, right? They should be helped, not, criminalized. And many of them are children. I would throw a kid in prison because he's got a phone that was created to keep him addicted. He's got apps that were created with his addiction in mind. Sure, it's not the kid's fault. I think this whole thing, the whole screen thing, hit civilization, society like a ton of bricks. And it's pretty sad. So yeah, nobody's going to go to jail. Nobody's going to be fined. But the mayor said, and I quote, limiting daily smartphone use at 2 hours is just a guide, una guía. The bill is aimed at promoting measures to prevent residents from suffering the adverse effects on their bodies and daily lives from excessive smartphone use. And we all know the dangers. And if you don't, read up on it. You won't sleep with your phone anymore. You won't look at that blue light before you go to bed. And never mind all the stuff that's on there. I'm just talking about the actual phone. Never mind the apps that'll keep you hooked and drooling like a zombie. Well, the Japan's Children and Family Agency, they did a study. I don't know who paid for it, but they said that young people in Japan spend an average of 5 hours on their phones, tablets, and computers per day. That's during the week, on a weekday. 5 hours. That's a long time. Per day? It's 25 hours a week. Talking about weekdays. Let's take the weekend out of the equation. Just weekdays. I mean, that is incredible. 5 hours, 25. That's more than a day of your work week, your school week, that you're stuck on your phone there. And I decided to take a look at the global average. Do you think the global average is higher or lower than that? Well, globally, average smartphone usage is roughly es más o menos, roughly 4 to 5 hours per day, though it varies significantly by region and age group. Americans average around 5 hours and 16 minutes. Countries like Japan, around 4 hours, which still better, 4 to 5 hours, as we said. Well, it's about the same then, really. But Ghana, for example, Ghana has double that. The country of Ghana. So, I mean, 5 hours is like a normal, and I'm saying that in air quotes, amount of time to spend on your phone. Think about that, guys. Anybody who's good at math, I just calculated how much that is a week. So not counting the weekend, you're losing, because you don't get anything from it, except dopamine hits. You're losing a day a week just staring into a screen. Call your friends, call your mom, And it doesn't seem like this is getting better, does it? I don't know. I'm no expert. Let me know your thoughts, folks, here in the comments. But I think we can all agree something has to be done. So I thought it was a good measure, especially when I read that nobody's going to be thrown in jail or anything like that. All right, well, folks, before we take our next commercial break, let's take a look at today's Homophones on the show with no name.
Homophones on the show with no name. It's homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. Homophones on the show with no name. Cause homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name.
That's right, my amigos. It is Homophones here on the show with no name. We always look at homophones on our show, usually in the joke section, right? As you know, a lot of jokes come from homophones. I was talking to my daughter the other day, and which one did I say? I said, what is a vampire's least favorite food? Steak. You get it? All right, if you get it, tell me where the joke is there. I had to explain it to my daughter, but that's how you learn. So, what is a vampire's least favorite food? Again, the answer is steak. I think it's funny. Do you get it? All right. Well, either way, it's not time for your joking, but who knows? Maybe we can use these words in a future joke in the Your Joking section. All right. The first word, hey, we were talking about corporations before. This word is associated with corporations very often. And the word is codicia, avaricia. Okay. Codicia, avaricia. Now, you can say avarice in English, but it's not a very common word. When we're talking about it with food, it's gluttony. Gluttony, sound familiar? Gluttony, gluttony. Don't be such a glutton. Okay, we're talking about the 7 deadly sins now, no? Los 10 pecados mortales. All right, so codicia, okay, avaricia. All right, codicia, avaricia, gula, if we're talking about with food, okay? And there's a good adjective. Well, we'll take a look at it in a little bit, but that is your first word, gula, codicia, avaricia, okay? The second word is New York City. A veces hablamos de New York City como está todo cuadriculado, pues es cuadrícula. Okay, si decimos New York City es una cuadrícula, es un cuadro, ¿no? Son, y también, it's also red eléctrica. So when we talk about la red eléctrica, we also talk about this as well. Okay, so we'll take a look at these 2 words. A, I want to know if you know the words, and B, I want to know if you know if they sound exactly the same or not. We'll take a look at that. Plus, we've got our real reviews. We're going to my home park when I was a kid. Plus, we've got Spelling Bee, Double Trouble, famous birthdays, name that movie, and so much more. So, if I were you guys, I wouldn't even think of going anywhere. Stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back. This is part 3 of today's show with no name. You got it. I hope you guys are enjoying today's show, and I hope you're going to listen to my friends as well. You've got Chris Frank and Frankly Speaking. Awesome show, very conversational, very chilled, but that's cool. I could listen to Chris talk for hours. Interesting guy, he's got a lot of stuff to share, and you can learn with him every day on Frankly Speaking. Also, Kyle Miller, the host of Drive Time, also the writer of Business English, and a great friend of mine. You can catch him on Drive Time. I know he's got a lot of challenges prepared for you later on today. And don't forget to have some lunch with Rob and Andy in the Lunchtime Show. I couldn't think of a better way to chow down. Comer. Rob and Andy in the Lunchtime Show. And then you've got Gretchen right after this show. You've also got Richard Vaughn live. Don't forget about him. You've got the Hour to Empower with Jessica Fernandez and so much more. It's Vaughn Radio, and it's free. All right, let's listen to today's Say What soundbite. I'm going to give it to you for the third time, so we should be a little bit closer to figuring it out. Here it is, amigos.
On the plane, Ozzy is so drunk. He's so drunk. So we're in the back there, and he's at the laboratory mid plane, and it's someone else is in there, and he's like, share, and she like, oh, Ozzy, and he pees his pants right there in the aisle. Like, holy crap.
Listen carefully. Can you hear that? No. Listen closer. I'm not talking about the birds chirping. I'm talking about everybody speaking English and feeling comfortable. Listen. This is what it's like at Vaughn Town, a peaceful place where you can really learn English and lose your inhibitions. There's a reason it's one of our star programs. Vaughn Town, lose your fear of speaking English. If you want more information about this immersive experience, go to grupovaughn.com or give us a call, 911-385831. Lose your fear of speaking English and express yourself with clarity at Vaughn Town.
That's right, amigos. Express yourself with clarity at Vaughn Town. I think it is definitely one of the most amazing initiatives we've got here at Vaughn. If you have ever been toying with the idea of checking out Vaughn Town, I'm telling you, make this year be the year you do it. Whether it's 2025 or 2026, do it. You will not regret it. No te arrepentirás. All right, let's take a look over here. We've got a lot of participation, which is awesome. German explaining the joke, and the joke was the vampire joke. What is a vampire's least favorite food? And I said steak. Steak is chuleta. Okay, solomillo, chuleta. And steak, escrito stake, is estaca. Right? And obviously they don't like wooden stakes. All right. Chris Valrol says, does the show count too? Well, not really. I think the show doesn't count. It's an English class. You know, you're not like, it's not like you're, you know, scrolling through pictures of girls in bikini. Oh, oops. Uh-oh. Well, it's, you know, I feel like my question is always this: are you doing something productive, or are you just wasting time? You know, because you can't be bored, and that's a problem we have in today's society. People don't know what it's like to be bored. When I think out of boredom, sometimes your greatest ideas. I remember being a kid, when I was bored is when I really started to think of creative ways to entertain myself. And now it's just take out the phone. Click, oh, likes. It's okay, but it's not a replacement. Just know, it's not the same as going out and talking to your friends, seeing them, having a beer, no matter what they say. Oh, we can do more. Really not. If you're sitting in front of your phone for 5 hours a day, you're not doing more. Definitely not. Right. So no, Chris, YouTube is social media, but it isn't. Right. And a podcast, that doesn't count. Okay. You're learning English. It's a social thing. It's a different thing. You're not just scrolling. Right. A ver que me toca ver. Right. That's kind of what I mean by using social media. Because one thing is going and checking, oh, my friends had a great day. My friend's in Japan. Let me check out his photos. And then, 5 minutes later, you're done for the day. It's, every 5 seconds, I'm going to go back and check again. That's when the problem comes in, And I've been there, and I had to really cut back. Algo que vimos en el audio de Kyle, de Business English, to cut back on my social media use. I got to a point where I wasn't using it at all, and I was quite happy. So she says, because I have to admit, I'm hooked. She says, I use my phone as an encyclopedia to listen to podcasts, but I quickly get tired of looking at social media, for example. Well, Chris, that's exactly what I mean. So listening to podcasts, I don't think is wasting your time, especially if you're learning a language or learning about, anything, current events, sports, whatever interests you, you're learning. It's not a bad thing. The problem is when we're scrolling and looking at pictures and just endless, and you're like, when your eyes start to hurt and your brain just turns to mush, that moment. So you're good, Chris. I think even though you're addicted to your phone, I think you use it well. I think, based on what I've seen. German gives us the 2 words in today's homophones, and they are the correct words. And he says they are not homophones. Let's see. Born to Iron Man gives us the 2 words, and he says they don't sound alike. Chris Valrol as well. All right. Well, let's see. German gives us a sentence here. Let's see if we can figure it out with this sentence. Corporate greed is not precisely off the grid. That's good. Excellent example there. So let me say both words. Greed, grid. Greed, grid. They are not homophones. So greed. We also have the adjective. Don't be greedy. Greed is a bad thing, right? Greed. Greed, de ahí cogemos. Now, greed, esto es una de las pocas veces que no es verbo, right? It's to be greedy, but we don't have, he greeded. No, a veces sí, muchas veces sí, pero aquí no. Aquí es sustantivo puro y duro o el adjetivo greedy, si le añadimos una Y. Let's rhyme this word. Greed rhymes with read. Greed rhymes with lead. Greed rhymes with seed, right? I'm sure you can think of some more. The second word, grid, rhymes with lid. Say them with me. Grid rhymes with did, right? And I'm sure you can come up with more. I can't right now, but greed, grid, I. A lot of times what we do too is we isolate the vowel sound. I. Greed, grid. And again, going back to the word grid, we can use it to talk about New York City. A lot of times we talk about it, when we are talking about math and charts. Okay, let's take a look at this grid, right? Grid. Let's see the example. Jessica used the grid on the map to figure out the distance that they needed to go. Also, I remember when we had a blackout, a power failure in New York, it seemed that there was a problem with the grid. You can say the electrical grid, but from the context, it's not necessary, right? So grid. And we talk about New York City. It's easy to get around New York City because it's a grid. But be careful. New York City is a silly city full of greed. So great job, folks. I didn't fool you. Greed and grid. And I like the expression you gave us too there, off the grid. Esto es cuando estás como desconectado un tiempo, right? Hey man, I know you've been trying to get in touch with me, but I'm off the grid. Now, viene de no estoy conectado a la red eléctrica, pero hoy en día no estoy conectado al móvil, a las redes, right? No estoy incommunique. It's another way to say it as well. So, again, the original meaning means que no dependo de tal. Estoy en mi propio, right? But also because there are people who go live off the grid. I'm going to move to the Amazon and live off the grid. Fine. That's the literal sense. But if I talk to a friend, I'm like, dude, I haven't seen you in 3 months. Where have you been? I've been off the grid. Okay, that means sin conexión, sin mucha conexión. Same idea, but if you know that grid means electrical grid, and then you can associate the idiomatic expression that Germán gave us, which it's a totally native for you, Germán. Excellent. Let's see. Christian says, first time here. Greetings from Mexico. Oh, awesome. Mexico in the house. Welcome, Christian. It's great to have you here with us. And you are definitely an early bird. Un madrugador, an early bird. And you know what we say? The early bird gets the worm. So welcome aboard, Christian. Born to Iron Man says, hi there, Christian. Welcome aboard. Chris Valrol, always welcoming. And Germán as well. And he says, invítanos a unos tacos y unos tamales. I'm hungry. Oh, man. Please don't talk about Mexican food because I'm going to start drooling on my microphone. Oh, man. And I've been itching. I've been having a craving. An antojo. I've been having a craving for Mexican food lately. So please don't say chimichanga. It'll all be over. Christian says, let's make a taco party here in Cancun. But for now, it's time to pay attention. Thank you, Christian. I think it's true. We shouldn't go off topic too much, because if you get me talking about food, woo, it's a slippery slope. Un callejón sin salida. So let's stick to the script. La expresión lo decís igual en español. Ceñidnos al guión. Is that how you say it? Let's stick to the script because, as you know, we've got a lot of stuff to cover. But wonderful job. Seriously, you guys knocked it out of the park in today's Homophones section. I couldn't fool you. All right, well, it's time to move on. It's time for one of our new sections, Real Reviews.
First of all, what went through my mind is how stupid am I to actually volunteer for this?
Real Reviews.
Real Reviews. Found online.
Real Reviews.
It was unbelievably painful.
Totally painful. All right. These reviews are painful. And as I told you guys, what I do is I scour the internet. To scour is like to comb. No, decís vosotros también peinar. To comb, to scour. A ver cómo ponen. To scour, fregar. No, registrar, explorar, rastrear, peinar. I comb the internet. I scour, SCOUR, in order to bring you these totally native reviews. And as I said, if last week we looked at an airport, well, we're not going to look at an airport the following week, you know? We'll look at something different so we can learn different vocabulary around hotels, airplanes, theme parks, which we're going to be taking a look at today. As always, I don't mention the name of the place that we're reviewing because, well, I don't want any lawsuits or anything. And these are not my opinions here. These are opinions that I'm sharing from Google reviews. What I do is filter from lowest rating to highest rating. And then I go through them. I usually search probably anywhere from 10 to 20 comments. And I'm like, oh, this is a good one. This one's got some good English in it. This has got something that I can teach in it. So I don't just choose them randomly. I choose ones that I think have content that you need to know, especially if you're going to be complaining. So theme parks. Now, what do we call it if it's not a theme park? If there's no theming or very little theming? We call this an amusement park. So parque de atracciones, amusement park. Parque temático, theme park. Okay? A lot of amusement parks now have started theming, but in general, if they're not theming too much, then we would call it an amusement park. Okay? So let's take a look now. This is, again, my home park, so you can probably figure out where it is, what park it is. But as I said, I'm not going to say the name of the park. All right. The first review I've got for you is friggin' ridiculous. That's right. Friggin' ridiculous. What does that mean? Well, friggin' or freakin' is another way of saying fucking. Okay, if you don't want to say fucking, you can say friggin' or freakin'. This is friggin' ridiculous. This is freaking ridiculous. Okay, so they say friggin'. Friggin' ridiculous. You pay $200 for 4 people and all the good rides are closed. Well, first, let me tell you something. $200 for 4 people is not a bad price. Well, you know how much it costs to get into Disney per day? Depending on the season, it can be anywhere from $100 to $200 per person. Okay, so $200. Okay, it's not a cheap day. You're better off going to the movies or going bowling, perhaps, right? But $200. That's right, for 4 people. That's $50 a head. You say por barba. Right? $50 a head, which is about average. Even here in Madrid, they charge, depending again on the season, it's supply and demand. So if it's a very busy season, the price goes up. If it's low season or off peak, as we say, well, then the prices are usually a little bit lower. In Spain, they range from around 30 euros a day per person to around maybe 50 or so. So it's not too bad. All right. But of course, we're looking at the most important part here. You pay $200 for 4 people or $200 a head, como os enseñé, and all the good rides are closed. ¿Ves? Ahí cambia todo. Because you're like, wait, so why am I paying full price when all the good rides, the rides I came to ride, are closed? So this person says, log flume, closed. The log flume, ¿te suena? Tronco. A log flume is aserradero, I think you call it. It's a classic water ride where you go in a log and fake log, obviously, and you splash down, right? I'm sure you've all seen it. In Parque de Atracciones de Madrid, it's called aserradero, which makes sense. It's a sawmill, and it's, in English, the log flume. So log flume, closed. Harley Quinn, closed. Superman, closed. These are the names of rides and superheroes. Superman, closed. And many, many other rides closed. Now, can you say attractions? Sure, but why if you can say rides? Shorter. So they should be ashamed. Debería darles vergüenza. They should be ashamed of themselves, is the next comment. I rarely ever, apenas, casi nunca, I rarely ever complain on my hundreds of reviews. O sea, it's not the first review that the person has written. But this is just unacceptable, inaceptable. We say unacceptable. And then the person says, and it's 98 degrees. Now, it's not Celsius, don't worry. That's like, what? Wait, 98 degrees? Jeez Louise. So it's 98 degrees. That's probably around 40 something, I would say. It's hot. 98 degrees is hot. And it's 98 degrees and the water rides are closed. SMH. Oh, good question. What does SMH stand for? Shaking my head. No, moviendo la cabeza como, no. So shaking my head is like, no estoy de acuerdo. Esto es ridículo. So then there was a fire in the Houdini ride and we had to evacuate. Now, call me crazy here. The fire is the afterthought? Like, isn't the fire should be like the number one, idea, the main point of the review. There was a fire and we had to be evacuated. But that didn't seem to bother the person as much as the price and the rides being closed, or the ride closures, para usar otro vocabulario, the ride closures. They were more concerned with the ride closures than with the fire. That's what blew my mind. Oh, and one more thing. There was a fire and we had to be evacuated. Isn't that like, that should be the review, and then you add the rest. And on top of that, the rides were closed, but the fire here was an afterthought. A ver cómo traduces afterthought a español. An afterthought. Ocurrencia tardía. Idea adicional. Like, oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the fire. What? Okay, one thing is long lines, one thing is ride closures, one thing is paying full price for getting half the park, and another thing is your safety, your livelihood, your living. So, wow. All right, let's take a look. I've got another review, same park, and this one says, for a while now, por un tiempo ya, the entire park has been showing signs of fraying around the edges. Now, fraying is what happens to a rope at the end, okay? Deshilachado, right? Crispación, crispado, right? It's starting como una cuerda que ya está, los finales, los cabos se están abriendo, okay? That's a fray. The rope, the string is starting to fray. So they said it's been showing signs of fraying around the edges. It is getting dirtier. Nothing is emptied or refilled in the restrooms. Did you get that? O sea, nothing is emptied and nothing is refilled. O sea, que no ponen el papel higiénico. They don't put toilet paper in there, and they don't take out the garbage either. So that's pretty gross. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out. And they said they have either torn down, derrumbar, they have either torn down or permanently closed most main event coasters and all water rides. Now, that's the second review that's saying major rides are closed. And I get it there. There you're saying I'm paying $50 for somebody who gets the whole park, and I don't get the whole park. So they should have something where when most of the rides or most of the big rides are closed, they should offer some kind of discount, because this is a reoccurring thing. And it says they have now canceled the Holiday Lights event. So it seems like this company is cutting corners, intentando ahorrar gastos como puede. But it shouldn't be evident, because then people will stop coming. In fact, I just read the earnings review, and this company is doing really bad. Like, they are doing everything wrong right now. And it's not me that says it. It's the whole community of Thusies. Thusies are theme park lovers, enthusiasts. So it says, yet they are gladly charging full price. Con muchas ganas te cobran el precio entero for tickets and season passes. A season pass es un bono. While giving you an abhorrent overall experience. Aborrente? You say that word, or me lo estoy inventando? Abhorrent. While giving you an abhorrent, aborrecible, aberrante, abominable, abominable, you can say, overall experience, experiencia en general. Then it says, run from this place, run from it, huye.
to any other theme park, a cualquier otro parque temático, even a well-appointed carnival, una feria de estos móviles, that's what we call a carnival, ¿no? Los que van viajando con las atracciones. Even a well-appointed carnival has their rides and games fully functioning. The money you spend on travel is more than worth the headache and disappointment at this park. I won't say the name of the park, as I said. All right, amigos, I can't believe it, but we have got to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with the rest of today's show, so stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back to this, the fourth and final part of today's show with no name. We're going to kick things off with our double trouble. Then we've got our Say What soundbite. That's the fourth and final listen of the Say What soundbite. We've also got movies, jokes, famous birthdays, name that lyric, and so much more to go, amigos. I hope you are enjoying today's show, and I hope you'll stay tuned after and continue learning with Gretchen. Don't forget to follow us on social media as well. It's grupovon.com. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. ¿Ves cómo no lo llamo X? LinkedIn, YouTube. So make sure you're following along so you can get free content, up-to-the-minute information, and you can be a part of our online community, our family. And if you have any questions about any of our initiatives, any of our materials, you can feel free to reach out. Contacta con nosotros. Or maybe you just want a free level test. Well, whatever it may be, reach out. Dinos algo, and we'll get back to you. Really good vocabulary. Reach out. We'll get back to you. Ya nos pondremos en contacto de nuevo. All right, amigos, let's kick things off with a little challenge in this part of the show. This is today's double trouble.
Yeah. Double trouble, baby. Yeah, you know what time it is. Give it up. Double trouble. I said double trouble. Double trouble. I said double trouble.
That's right, amigos. That's right. It is today's double trouble here on the show with no name. All right. I'm sorry. Did I say double trouble? Oh boy. Okay. I'm sorry. I meant triple trouble. That's right. A triple trouble. Wait, what's going on here? Oh, well, maybe this will give you a little audio clue in today's triple trouble. That's right. You've got to use the same word 3 times. Oh, good luck. All right. ¿Te mola ella? ¿No? ¿Te gusta? ¿Te mola ella? Then the second part, vas a cavar tu propia tumba. Okay, vas a cavar tu propia tumba. ¿Entiendes?
All right, so 3 parts there, and 3 times we're going to use the same word. And I tried to give you a little clue there with that sound effect. All right, ¿te mola ella? No. Vas a cavar tu propia tumba. ¿Entiendes? So there are 2 questions and a statement. Okay, so ¿te mola ella? ¿No? ¿Te gusta? ¿Te cae bien? ¿Te gusta? ¿Quieres, algo con ella? ¿Te mola ella? Vas a cavar tu propia tumba. ¿Entiendes? All right, you've got to use the same word 3 times. It's going to take a little extra creativity today, but I think somebody will be able to figure it out. There's no doubt in my mind. Also, let me give you today's Say What soundbite. I'm going to give it to you for the 4th and final time. Let's see if anybody can figure it out.
On the plane, Ozzy is so drunk. He's so drunk. So we're in the back there, and he's at the lavatory mid plane, and it's someone else is in there, and he's like, share, and she's like, oh, Ozzy, and he pees his pants right there in the aisle. I'm like, holy crap.
¿Te gustaría abrir puertas a nuevas oportunidades y estar listo para cualquier desafío? Con el máster de inglés del Grupo Vaughan podrás transformar tu futuro. Este programa intensivo te ayudará a dominar el inglés profesional, perfeccionar tu comunicación y ganar la confianza que necesitas para conseguir tus objetivos. Nuestros profesores Vaughan especializados te prepararán para afrontar en inglés todas las situaciones de comunicación en un entorno profesional. No dejes que el inglés sea una barrera. Invierte en tu futuro con el máster de inglés profesional del Grupo Vaughan. Llámanos al 91-133-5833 o entra en grupovaughan.com.
That's right, folks. If you want more information about our master's program or any of the main amazing initiatives we've got, or maybe not so main, hey, any of them. It doesn't have to be one of the main ones, like our Vaughan Town, like the Masters. I mean, these are the big ones, but we've got to, maybe your budget isn't the same. Maybe you're saying, listen, I can't afford that right now for the time being. Well, we also have online courses. We also have the translation booklet that we looked at this week, which is chock full of every different structure you'll need, tons of vocabulary as well. So you've got options for every level and for every budget. Just go over to vaughantienda.com, or you can go to the main website, grupovaughan.com. All right, let's go on over to our chat room and see what you guys have to say. Christian says, here in Riviera Maya, the average price for a good theme park is around $150 per person. So 200 for 4 sounds pretty good. Yeah, that's true. But then if half the rides are closed, no matter how cheap it is, you're like, well, why am I paying more when half of the park is closed? I should be paying 25. But I get what you mean. Like I said, Disney, you go Thanksgiving week, I think Disney is $250 or so per person, per park, and that doesn't include lodging, alojamiento. So, yeah. But again, you go to a place, you drive there. It's not just the money either. You spend the day, you drive there, you get up early, you plan your whole day, and you're there, and it's just a big disappointment. Whether you spent 100, 200, or 2,000, it sucks. It's not a good feeling. You feel like you've been scammed, timados, right? So yes, though, I agree. It's not a bad price, but if everything is operational. Let's see. Born to Iron Man says 98 degrees is equal to around 37 degrees Celsius. So it's not exactly a chilly day. A nice summer, a balmy summer day. All right, let's see. German's taking a stab at today's triple trouble. Let's see what we've got. He says, do you dig her? You're going to dig your own grave. Dig it? All right. Unbelievable. Great job. I would say the last one is, you dig? Do you dig? Because it's frase hecha. Do you dig? But dig it is fine. It makes sense and it works. Pero si quieres ese totally native is, you dig? You dig? Cavas? Is me captas? Me pillas? So wait, this is a crazy word here. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Dig, which I tried to give you the clue before with the audio clue. Digging, right? I have a shovel digging over there. It's an irregular verb, so it's dig, dug, dug. De hecho, suena como el nombre Doug. Doug dug a hole. Es un homófono. Yeah. Doug dug his own grave. Para usar la expresión. You say the same thing. Cavó su propia tumba. He dug his own grave. He dug his grave. All right. So, German, great. Let's see. Daniela. Daniela's taking a stab at it. Hello, Daniela. She says, do you dig her? ¿Te mola ella? Do you dig her? You're digging your own tomb. Well, we would say you're digging your own grave, porque es frase hecha. Okay, you're digging your own grave. Do you? And then she says, you dig it? You dig it? Great job. All right, guys. Wow, I thought it was going to be more challenging. Let's take a look. Born to Iron Man says, do you dig her? Do you dig her? Right? ¿Te mola? You're going to dig your own grave. Do you dig? Eso es como yo lo diría. ¿Captas? ¿Lo pillas? ¿Lo entiendes? Do you dig? You dig? Dia. Do you dig? Yeah, el do you is dia. Do you dig? So excellent job, guys. Excellent job. And let's see. German says, are you digging for dirt with this triple trouble double A? Oh, no. I'm never digging for dirt. I let people have their own lives. I'm too much of a space case to be digging up dirt on other people. Yeah, the expression to dig up dirt, they usually do it with politicians, right? They're like, oh, we'll find something that he did wrong. So great expression there, German, to dig up dirt on someone as well. So to dig, cavar. To dig, molar. I dig her, me mola. And also, do you dig? Do you dig? Is, do you copy? Do you follow? Are you understand what I said? So, wow, guys, excellent job. What can I say? And just remember, the word is an irregular verb, so it's dig, dug, dug. All right, well, we have got to move on because we've got a lot of stuff to cover. So why don't we go on to today's Name That Movie? Name That Movie. That's right, amigos. It's Name That Movie here on the show with no name. And I freaking love this movie. Yep, I love it. I love every kind of movie that's like this. These are parodies, spoofs, right? Parodias. A spoof is another way to say it. All right, let's see a couple comments, though, before we get started. Let's see. Chris Valrol has figured out today's Say What soundbite. Give it up for her. Excellent job. Daniela says, and hello, everyone. Glad to be back. Missed you guys. Yeah, it's great to read your name as well, Daniela. Welcome back to your English class. All right. Let's see if you recognize this hysterical movie. Yeah, hysterical. No es histérico de, it means very funny. Well, it can be both. But in this context, I think you'll see that I mean very funny. But if you say, oh, man, the child was hysterical. Well, that maybe the kid wasn't telling jokes. Maybe the kid had a temper tantrum, which is una rabieta, a temper tantrum. Okay, here we go. Let's see if you guys can figure it out. A parody of Top Gun. As I said, you can also use the word spoof, S-P-O-O-F.
a parody of Top Gun in which a talented but unstable fighter pilot, piloto de caza, we say fighter pilot, must overcome, superar, the ghosts of his father and save a mission sabotaged, you know that word, by greedy weapons manufacturers. Hey, we looked at that word, greedy, right? We were talking about greed before. It's not pronounced like grid, right? In homophones. So greedy, avaricioso. We looked at it before. And we actually were talking about big corporations. So we even looked at it in that context, right? And weapons manufacturers. Bueno, dos palabras que suelen costar. Weapon, no, weapon. Y la segunda no es manu, it's manu. Like Manchester United, manufacture. So manufacturer, pero vamos a empezar solo con el verbo. Manufacture. Can you manufacture that? Manufacture. Just be careful, no manufacture. Okay? So, great movie, and Chris Valrol knows it. It's Hot Shots. Chulillos. Dios guys, right? Hot Shots. It came out in 1991, and it stars Charlie Sheen. It's directed by Jim Abrams, as I was telling you guys the other day. If you want to see movies with lots of puns in them, you got to check out the Abrams and Zucker brothers. That's Airplane, Naked Gun, Hot Shots. Those have a lot of puns. So also Mel Brooks. I can't recommend those movies enough because they're funny. There are lots of jokes. And if you get those jokes, well, then congratulations. You've got a pretty high English level. All right, let's take a look at the scene that I've chosen. Admiral Benson. Now, Admiral Benson, played by Lloyd Bridges, the late Lloyd Bridges. Oh, man, he was great. And he says, while standing on top of the aircraft carrier, portaaviones igual, aircraft carrier, his cap es gorra, blew off and landed in the ocean. And he says, holy cow. We looked at that expression yesterday when we were talking about the cow in the mud in our news report. Holy cow, madre mía. My cap blew off. Se fue volando. Mi gorra. Swing her around. Now, swing her around is dale media vuelta. We talk about it with a car. Swing around and make a U-turn. No, lo que viene a decir es darte media vuelta. So he says, swing her around and we'll pick it up. Now, swing her around on a motorcycle, on a bike, even a car shouldn't be a problem. On an aircraft carrier? Not so simple. And then the officer, of course, says, but sir, we're on the mission. Estamos en la misión. And Admiral Benson says, good thinking. We'll pick it up on the way back. Lo pillamos a la vuelta. We got to mark the spot. Hay que marcar el sitio. Put Rabinowitz in a life raft. Ponle en un barco de estos de salvavidas and have him row in circles until we return. Y que reme en círculos hasta que volvamos. And then the officer says, it could be days. Podrían pasar días. And then Admiral Benson, another one of his bright ideas, says, well, then put some food in the life raft, right? Lifeboat or life raft. He says, then put some food in the life raft. For God's sake, man. Por amor de Dios. Do I have to think of everything? Tengo que pensar yo en todo. We'll tape his favorite shows. Grabamos sus programas favoritos. He won't miss anything. No se perderá nada. All right, folks, there it is. Hot Shots. It came out in 1991. All right, let's see who's celebrating a birthday today in famous birthday trivia.
Famous birthdays for you. Famous birthdays for me. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name. Famous birthdays for him. Famous birthdays for her. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name.
Yeah, that's right, amigos. Welcome to Famous Birthdays. We'll see if you can figure out today's famous birthdays. Our first guy was born today in 1965. His name is Cocaína Brillo. Hey, I'm just telling you, don't shoot the messenger. Yeah, well, it's another name for cocaína. And his last name is Brillo. And I'm sure he's done a lot of cocaína in his life. In fact, he is famous for having substance abuse problems. Okay. Where would you know him? Well, he was in Platoon. He was in Wall Street. He was in Young Guns, The Three Musketeers. He was also in the series 2.5 Men until he was fired from that series. But the guy's been around since the 80s. He had kind of a comeback, and now nobody wants to work for him, with him, I should say, because he's unpredictable and he's got substance abuse problems. So that's number one. Number two, this guy es un rey. Well, un rey en el mundo del blues. Era un rey. He died in 1976, and he is considered one of the three kings of the blues. The three kings. You've got B.B. King, and you've got Albert King, and you've got our birthday boy. That's number three. Two, excuse me. Number three is, they call him the Pod Father. The Pod, like podcast. Well, this guy, I remember him as an MTV host. He used to host in a lot of the MTV shows. And in the 2000s, he started doing a show called No Agenda. Well, this show became what would now be known as one of the first podcasts. So before everybody and their mother listened to podcasts, has a podcast, this guy was ahead of the game. And as I said, he already came from media. He came from, presenting on MTV. He also, announced different things. But then after that, he didn't know his biggest success was going to come from discovering, and I use that lightly, not discovering, but being one of the first people to experiment with this format. And thus, his name is the Pod Father. All right, let's see. We've got a winner. Please give it up for Chris Valrol. Number one, Charlie Sheen. Yeah. Charlie is another way of saying cocaine, and Sheen is another way of saying brillo, brightness, right? Let's see. Freddie King is number two, one of the three kings. And I'm not talking about the wise men, los Reyes Magos. I'm talking about the three kings of the blues. And last but not least, Adam Curry, or Curry, as you would say, Adam Curry, a.k.a. the Pod Father. And that's going to bring us over to today's Say What soundbite. This is the Pod Father. This is Adam Curry, and he's on Joe Rogan's podcast. And you know how I know that? Well, I know his laugh from anywhere, right? Joe Rogan, the very famous podcaster. I listen to his show sometimes. It depends on the guest with Joe Rogan, because it's long format. He usually does 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours of podcasting per week. Well, no, he does a couple. I think he does it a couple. He releases a couple a week. Well, this was an episode with the Pod Father, who I'm sure Joe Rogan owes a lot to, because Joe Rogan is one of the most successful podcasters out there. But without the Pod Father, we wouldn't be talking about Joe Rogan either. So he's talking about an anecdote with the recently deceased Ozzy Osbourne. And he says, on the plane, he goes, can you tell me a story about Ozzy? He goes, yeah, on the plane. Ozzy is so drunk. And we're in the back there, and he's at the lavatory. Lavatory is another way of saying the bathroom. Not laboratory, lavatory. Como lavar, lavatory. We say the lav. De hecho, muchos americanos. Could you tell me where the lav is? No lab, lav. And he goes, mid-plane, con el medio del avión. He goes, someone else is in there. Hay alguien que está ahí metido. And he's like, Sharon. That's his wife's name. And she was like, oh, Ozzy. and he pees his pants right there in the aisle. Y se mea encima ahí en el pasillo. And I'm like, holy crap. Y yo estaba en plan, madre mía. So here is the Podfather talking about the godfather of heavy metal, Ozzy Osbourne.
On the plane, Ozzy is so drunk. He's so drunk. So we're in the back there, and he's at the laboratory mid plane, and it's someone else is in there, and he's like, share, and she like, oh, Ozzy, and he pees his pants right there in the aisle. I'm like, holy crap.
Hi, hello, Alberto. I think the song is. No? Sorry, bye.
Name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric, name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. Name that lyric only on the show with no name, the show with no name, the show with no name. It's name that lyric only on the show with no name.
That's right, folks. Thank you so much. Wonderful job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today, we're going to take a look at Palace of the King, a song that came out in 1971 by birthday boy Freddie King. And in this song, you'll hear the line, "She really dug my style." Now you know what it means. Realmente le moló mi estilo. We took a look at that word in today's Triple Trouble, and now we're going to see it in context in this classic blues song. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll be back tomorrow with more. Ciao for now. Come on.